Welcome, everyone. Today is day 4 of the 21-day live Facebook events. We're discussing the belief in lack and how that creates suffering. I want to take a moment today because yesterday was a very intense live for me because I switched off feeling very dissatisfied with the delivery, but I realized exactly what was pulling. I wanted to get more into detail, and I realized that it's not about giving you all the information all at once. I didn't get it all at once. And then I woke up this morning, and when I was checking my messages, someone asked the big question: how do I move? How do I move out of that vibrational platform? And my eyes lit up. I said, thank you so much. Hi, Marina. Can you just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me properly today? And that's exactly the best question ever. That's where all the minds go. I understand the point of reference, Raf. I understand it. And I understand that a thought is thought, and consciousness and awareness grabs it and runs off in the bushes. And I understand. Now I am at a different vibrational frequency every time I distance myself from who I am. But now I'm down here, and it feels awful. Why? Because anything that departs from who you really are is going to feel lack. Anywhere you are, going down that emotional scale, anywhere, even happiness, there will always be a sense of lack because you have temporarily separated yourself from who you really are. And who you really are is abundance, is unconditional, is awareness, worthiness, one and all infinite, the absolute, the ultimate frequency. This is who you are. The belief in lack, what is a belief? Beliefs are thoughts. Beliefs are thoughts that arise. Beliefs are thought. The belief in lack creates suffering. Am I implying that lack exists? No. It's the belief in lack that creates suffering. And with these 21 days, at the end of it, what I really want to convey to you is, where is lack? Is there? And this is my intention, that you actually realize and experience it for yourself. It is the belief that you believe to be that runs off in the bushes and is now perceiving a separation, a temporary separation. But what I really clicked on today was, let me show you this, if I can. Wherever you are on that emotional scale, you're in depression, you're in anger, you're in blame, you're blaming, you're in revenge, you're anyway down there. What do you see? All that you can see. The mind will only allow you to see what will self-fulfill that vibration. Therefore, the feeling arises, the definition, the imagery, and the feeling is all happening now. But what it can see is only that slice of, this is all I can see. Everything is lacking. There is a lack of money. There is lack of worth. There is lack of confidence. So the mind only knows this area. And hence there's this feeling This is going to be my life for the rest of my life, because this is the room, this is the vibrational room, this is the vibrational platform that you have access to. And that's why there's this sense of hesitation. Oh my God, I'm going to live here forever. This is going to be awful. Misconception. This is a now moment experience. And if you see it, as I see it right now, this is not the only room in the house, guys. This is not the only room in the house. So you've stumbled unconsciously, you've stumbled on this platform, and you, who you really are, intended for this contrast. And we'll get into this next week. I really don't want to go down that road right now. I really want to give you this tastiness of clarity. It really, really liberates you. Wherever you are right now isn't forever. It's just the platform, and the mind is describing it. This is all that exists. Because yes, the mind only sees that. It sees the lack of worthiness right now. It sees the lack of confidence. That's all it sees. The lack of abundance, the lack of money, the lack of self-worth. And that's all it sees. And it sees it, and it says it, and it feels it, and then it sees it, and it says it, and it feels it. And then you look over here, and there's more of just that lack. And you look to your right, you look to your left, you look behind you, and that's all it sees. Because that is all that is designed to see at that frequency. This is not the only room in the house, guys. According to my list, there are 22. There are 22 different emotions. There are a lot more. There are so many beautiful shades of different types, all happening at the same time. And that's another misconception. When you're feeling lack, it feels like at the end of the day, oh my God, I've been in lack 24 hours, but it's actually now. Then you saw a puppy, and then you moved. Were you aware that you moved? No. Noticing, recognizing. Allow me to introduce this one point. Thoughts arise. They define, you can hear them. They define, you can see them. Then you get an indication. You define and you can hear them. You define and you can see them. And then you get an indication. Who notices? Noticing. I'm not going to explain noticing. Noticing, seeing. When you notice, noticing, seeing, that's not a thought. Thoughts arise. They describe, they define, they label, they judge, they criticize. It is the tools of the mind, and mind is the tool. Noticing, notice your breath right now. Is there thinking involved? To notice the breath. Notice the sound of the air conditioning or the refrigerator. Is there thought involved? Notice this. In order to notice, one turns to silence, stillness. The mind must be very still. Has anyone ever looked for a lost cat? In the silence, you're noticing, if you hear the meow, you must be very still. You must be very still and notice this in the silence. If there's something that pops up, that you can hear it, and noticing. Noticing and seeing, noticing, seeing is not thinking. The number one trap that I felt like I really got into, and I've seen other people convey this, is that when you begin to do this work, in the sense to inform yourself, to inquire and to seek, that there's always thinking involved. How am I going to do this? There is no doing. It is your doing and your thinking and your believing that has got you on the road trip. Noticing is not thinking. Seeing is not thinking. Looking is not thinking. So when the question came up, how do I move vibrationally? Why? Why are you in a hurry? You're there. You've traveled all that way. Look, what is there? Notice. Every single experience is there to show you what? You're there, stop and smell the roses. You're there, but you say, I don't want to be here, it hurts. Who's saying that? Who's saying that? I don't want to be there. Remember, the mind will always define and describe your environment, your energetic environment, your environment where you are right now, and it's describing it. It's not enough. Wherever you are on the 22 point of the emotional scale, again, there are many more, but for the sake of the conversation, we'll keep it at 22. Our 22 scale. Wherever you are, the mind will describe it. And in every description, it will be, there's not enough of something, because there is separation. So what is the point? What is the point? What is the objective? The objective is to see yourself, to recognize who you really are. So when you are on these vibrational scales, it doesn't feel good. Why? Awareness wants its attention to recognize itself, to know itself. So the negative emotion is grabbing your attention to tell you, hey, look where you are. Where are you? You identify. I'm here, I'm perceiving lack. Now the question, is that you? Who am I? Who am I? Because if you can see who you are not, because it doesn't resonate, lack of worthiness, lack of love, lack of abundance, it doesn't resonate. That's why it feels off. That's why there's a contraction. Because your point of reference is who you are. So if you're off in the woods, down at you're feeling lack of confidence, you're feeling lack of worthiness, who am I? And that experience is allowing you, is more to it. That experience is giving you so much information. It is inspiring you to ask the question. Because remember what we said yesterday? Every time you ask a question, you're literally asking to move your focus towards what the current experience has inspired you, what the current contrast has inspired you to look towards. When I looked at the drone, when I was trying to look for the drone, because Marie said, keep an eye on the drone, and I couldn't see it. That was my current situation. The missing of the drone. It is missing. I don't see it. What did it inspire? The desire came forth. Did I have to think about it? No. The desire came forth. I want to see it. I don't see it. I want to see it. I don't see it. I want to see it. I don't see it. I want to see it. But if I got stuck on hanging to my guns and fighting for my limitation, I don't see it. What part do you not understand? I don't see it. Tell me where it is. Tell me where it is. I would start, I've identified the lack, and therefore, in order to feel better, moving from fear, I can't see it, what comes after? I'm going to be pulled by who I really am towards myself, because I'm trying to feel better, and pulling, I'm going to pass anger. So then I'll be, tell me where it is. Tell me where it is. And then, if still nobody tells me where it is, I'm going to be pulled towards revenge and blame. You didn't tell me where it is, therefore I won't tell you where it is. You see where I'm getting at? I'm not really good at this, but you get the drift. Do you understand? So in every now moment, you are where you are. But when you start to notice and recognize where you are, when you're there, I don't see it. I want to see it. There's no resistance. There's no resistance. There's no hanging on to my guns. There's no insistence that the outside world must change so that I can see it. Because again, it cannot change until I ask myself the question. So you don't see it, do you want to see it? Yes, I want to see it. Do you have a resistance about seeing it? We don't have a resistance about seeing drones. I don't. I don't have a resistance about seeing spoons. I don't. I don't have a resistance about seeing money. I don't. The question is, do you? I don't have a resistance about not feeling confident. Do you? I don't have a resistance of feeling love. Do you? When you come across the lack of money and you ask, I don't see it, I want to see it. Now your focus will be towards it. But if you have the resistance, I don't see it and I can't see how it's going to happen. Oh, that's resistance. Arguing for the limitation you've just encountered. When you argue for that limitation, because it's a limitation, we've acknowledged that in the past 3 days. Whatever you're going to go, there's going to be some sort of separation, limitation, and some form of lack. Why? Because we've drifted, because this is experiences. Why are we having these experiences? To wake up to who we truly are. I've given you the answer now. We won't have to wait for 21 days. The question is always, who am I really? Because who you are being is simply a projection of a belief. Consciousness has wrapped itself around. You've gone off in the woods and now you're having an experience of lack. But that's not you. It's a belief. It's a belief. I am not my mind, I'm not my body. It is a belief. And now you're having this 3D time-space reality experience for you. And within this experience, there's a lot of information. What is there? The opportunity to notice what you would like to experience instead. That's called expansion. You're expanding from your normal room in the house. You want now to explore a different room. Before, you believed this was the only room. But that desire, you don't think desires. Desire is one of your natural abilities. It just appears. I don't see it, I'd like to see it. The moment I've turned my conscious attention, consciousness, awareness is always here. Are you aware of awareness? That is the whole enchilada. You see, you are awareness. Are you aware that you're awareness? Well, that is what every experience is asking you, inspiring you to ask the question. If I can see thoughts, and the thoughts are allowing me to feel, it's telling me where I am, currently having this experience. So who am I? It took me a while to ask that question. It took me a long time, 30 odd years. But when I did, and I remember even asking the question, I got to such a point of desperation. I was driving my car and I just said, what is it that I'm not seeing? I'm missing something here. Because everything that was happening in my life became like a really ridiculous Woody Allen movie. Like anything that could go wrong went wrong. I mean, it just was, this was just too much. Like it got to the point that the unimaginable things would happen. It was just like, this is ridiculous. You know, I understand one thing can happen this day and another thing, but like every single day, it just like the momentum of just being pulled. And what I felt at some point is like as if I had this elastic around my waist and something pulling at me, and I was just determined to walk in the opposite direction. And I think it ran out of elasticity or something, and something snapped because I just went bam. I just bumped into myself. I had describing it at some point. I did describe it to someone, and someone said to me, "Oh, that sounds a lot like the Black Night of the Soul." I don't know. All I knew is that I felt this utter sense of clarity, and the mind just snapped. It's like it just couldn't hold me in that place. It must have been one moment of just I let go, and bam. It would just, did it last long? No, about 48 hours of clarity. But then I'll tell you the story at another moment. I don't want to deviate from the point. But now I see how when you're always going to be, in every single moment, every single day, you are free to wander all the rooms of this home and touching at every base, here and there, here and there, here and there. But now, what I'm trying to convey to you, darlings, there are plenty of rooms. And every experience is not forever. There is no forever in one experience. You are free. You have the ability to focus. You have the ability to notice. Focus, notice. It doesn't involve thinking. The thinking mind is always going to be limited because it is designed to define and describe the current situation, where you are, what you're about to explore. When you believe to be the mind, you are now embodied into this character that I am now here having this experience, and it will always be limiting if you're looking at it through those eyes. I am now the mind. This is who I am. Really? That's it? How can you be the experience? Good afternoon from Germany. Hi, Roz. How do I move from one vibrational frequency to another? You're always moving. You'll have a moment where you'll be tired and you'll take a deep sigh of relief. And in that moment, you won't think. There will be no thinking involved. And the thought will die down. You've exhausted yourself, thinking all day, thinking all day, thinking all day. And only thoughts can keep thoughts. When a thought arises and you believe to be it, there's the feeling. And then the thought, and the moment there is the thought subsides, you take a deep breath. You've moved for you automatically. You, the mind, does no moving. Mind doesn't even know it moves. The mind is a tool. The mind is a tool. It knows nothing. mind knows nothing. It cannot know that. It wasn't designed to know anything. It was never designed to be you. The mind was never designed to be you. It is there to assist you to become aware of you. The mind was never designed to be you. You are not the mind. The mind, the qualities of the mind, is to define and to describe, and to label and to criticize and to judge, and to categorize and pigeonhole. It's a beautiful tool. It describes. It describes what it thinks it knows right here, right now, only compared to the equivalent vibration that you're holding. So when I was in the lack of the drone, it allowed me to see the lack of the drone. I couldn't see it. I didn't see it. I cannot see a solution right now. I am in the perfect vibration to have identified a problem. I am in the perfect vibration to identify a contrast. I am in the perfect vibration to identify who I am not. Look for the perfection of that limitation. What is a limitation? Be the explorer. What is this limitation? What information can you grasp from it? I only see a problem, Raf. There's a problem. Something's missing. Okay. Now, what do we do? Do we just sit here and keep noticing that it's missing and we have found the problem? We found the problem and something's missing. We've discovered there's a problem and it's something missing. The problem is here, something's missing. There's a problem, something's missing. It's a limitation. Oh, that's awful. What are we going to do? We could carry on like that the whole episode. And we could frighten ourselves to death. And we could carry on and we could go to different extremes. So the problem, generally speaking, and we can go into the problem specifically speaking, and the indication would be more and more intense. So what shades of problem do you want to go? All the 50 shades? Or just a few of the shades? Because the problem has different shades of it. Just a general problem? You want to get more intense, more intense, more intense, more intense? When do you give up looking at the problem? You've got a clear problem. It's missing. And then the wave of the desire, what do you want? When you take a deep, deep breath and you stop thinking, in the sense you allow, in the sense you give up resistance, in the sense you surrender. I have seen enough of the problem. I have seen enough of the problem. I have lived the contrast. I get the sense of it. I have finished. I am complete in this experience. Thank you very much. Appreciation. So if you're still looking at the problem is that you'll see it. And you still specifics. When you have milked that experience, that one slice of wherever you are, notice and start to follow what feels better. Because now we're off in the woods and now we're prepared to come back home to mothership. You've got to get beyond the character that's just currently played out, identifying the problem. You've got to go beyond yourself. So if the thought is allowing you to experience the contrast, if the thoughts are allowing you to experience the lack, if the belief in lack is allowing you to experience it, how do you know you're having an experience? Because you're feeling it, you've defined it, you've seen it, you're feeling it. Now, it's with no thought where you can it's the noticing. But if you're going to stay stubbornly stuck in thought, you will remain on that platform, in that room. You can't come out of your room. In the silence, in the stillness, in the investigation, who am I? If this is not who I am because I can feel that this is not who I am, why? Because there's lack. Lack is your indication this is not who you are. Lack is a beautiful, loving indication to just let you beautifully know, delicately know. Or sometimes it shakes you to let you know, this is not you. Who am I? 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 No thoughts. Noticing. Notice the silence. The moment you notice the silence, there is peace. And if you stay there long enough, peace becomes evident. Or you can remember the thought. You can go there. What was I just thinking? And then you'll feel it again. Just like that. You want a breath of fresh air? And the silence. There's no doing. There's no thinking. But the mind keeps wanting to tell you, we have a momentum going here. If you stop, we're going to lose it. And exactly. You will lose the momentum of that pain if you just sit for a couple of minutes. There's not a day that I don't meditate, because through the breath, and I did a 21-day remembering how to breathe event. The breath is the entry point. The breath is everything. The breath liberates your body from trapped energy that you've been holding on to, and it just allows you to, allows you to let go of resistance. The breath, 70% of your toxic waste in the body is released through the breath. I did not know that. And 21 days of just appreciating, finally, my breath. The mind is unaware of these things. The mind will not tell you. The mind doesn't even know breath exists. You end up breathing with your chest, and you feel and you have to end up breathing with your chest. But in order to experience this lack, you get into such stress. When you know who you are, no experience will scare you to that degree. You'll just need to tip your toes in the water a bit to find out. You won't need to dive into it. I love exploring now. I go off into the woods. I don't care anymore, in the sense I know my way back. I can wander and come back. I will wander and come back. I will wander more and come back. I want to tip my toes in each and every single experience now. What can I perceive as not missing now? And what will that inspire me to? And that's where I want to dive in next week. I cannot wait. The beauty of exploring. That way and back again, and that way and back again. But you all beautiful beings are all out here thinking that's the only room in the house. It's not. So the tools that the mind are unaware of is breathing. Breath is very important. A lot of people have come back to me and told me about that they're sitting with their feelings and it's feeling terrible. What do I do? Get me out of here. The stillness. Stillness, silence, breath. Stillness, silence, breath. Recognize, notice, see. Stillness, silence, breath. Recognize, notice, see. Stillness, silence, breath. Recognize, notice, see. There's no thinking involved at all. Stillness, silence. Breathe, breathe, notice, recognize. Be, just be. Be. Does not require thinking. Who was that chap that said, I think, therefore I am? Oh, he's misled us completely. So if you're not thinking, you cease to exist. Who are you with no thought? Because if with thought a belief gets you off into the woods, who are you with no thought? When you're not thinking, there's the fullness of you available for you to see, to notice, to recognize. You don't really need to climb up all the ladders. I didn't. The moment the thought drops, you recognize you are not attached to it. The thought can even stay there. It doesn't really matter. But you notice that you're not gripped to it. That's why stillness and silence is your perfect, beautiful environment where you can just notice. I'm not attached to a thought, and you will feel the fullness of who you are. It just takes a bit of persistence and consistency to notice. Notice that you're noticing. There is no one home to know. You are the knowing factor. You know. It is the knowing that is you. That's why I said the other day, you know when you're confused. You are the knowing of the confusion. You are not the confusion. You are the knowing of the confusion. You are not the confusion. You are the knowing of the confusion. And the confusion is there to point to you as the knowing. I know I'm confused. I know I'm feeling lack. You're not the lack. You're the knowing of it. And the lack is saying, it's not you. This is not you. This is not you. Noticing, stillness, silence. Notice, notice. There is no thinking involved. There is no thinking involved. And that is exactly what I'd like to leave you with in this episode. That if you're going to try and attempt to think your way out of this, you're taking the long hike. And you're not going to get there. Because all you can explore with thought is your current vibrational platform. All you will be exploring with thought is this room that it's designed to notice, to describe. This is all you will be exploring with thought. This is all you'll be exploring with thoughts. Thoughts define, so then you can see what it is defining and you can feel the vibrational room that you're in. You can describe it, you can see it, and you can feel it. This is the room. You're not going to get there with thought. If you're going to try and understand, if you want to understand, the mind wants to understand. Why does it want to understand? So it can catch you out. The moment you offer a solution and you're not ready, you're still in resistant mode. If someone gave me a solution to seeing the drone that I couldn't see, the mind now has to conjure up the equivalent using the equivalent vibration to try and instigate that feeling. It will find a way to make you wrong and me right. I will prove to you I can't see it. Because the mind is designed to make you rooted and anchored in that vibrational frequency in order to complete the experience. You are the one that gives up the resistance. When you're okay and said, I'm done here. How do you say I'm done here without words and definitions? You look at the mind. You take your rightful place of noticing in the silence and the stillness, and you notice. You take a deep breath. You notice, you recognize, you see. No thinking involved. That's who you are. The mind is your tool in order to come and to have this experience. And then you take your seat. You know who you are. And the more often this practice, Nazara calls it a practice, the more often, and I found it was very, very consistent and tedious, consistent and tedious, consistent and tedious until I got it. Oh my God, I'm aware of my thoughts. I can see it. I am now describing the sensation of it. It's like, it's a dawning. It dawned on me that I'm aware of my thoughts. I've been doing this several times, but it never dawned on me that I was actually doing it. I wasn't aware. I wasn't aware. I'm aware. I wasn't aware. I'm aware. I wasn't aware that I wanted to discover a new room. Thank you, contrast. Thank you. I appreciate. You appreciate your problems. You appreciate the lack of money. You appreciate your cancer. You appreciate. Thank you. For what? For allowing me to ask the question. I want to see. I want to know. Who am I? And all the mind will do will always pinpoint that. But all you are actually seeing in the experience is, I'm not that, I'm not that, I'm not that, I'm not that, I am not that, I am not that, I am not that. I'm not my mind, I'm not my body. And then finally, it eventually dawned on me to ask the question, who am I? I will tell my story. I know it's not important, but a lot of people sort of want to ask how that all came to be. But it doesn't resonate right now. So I'm going to end it here. I hope this episode gave you some sort of clarity. I look forward to your comments because they do inspire me to see what is relevant to share in the moment. But I really want you to get a feel of wherever you guys are, wherever you are, and the pain you must be feeling. I'd like you to see it for what it really is. It is not there to get you. It is not out there to punish you. You haven't done anything wrong. You can never be wrong. It is there to inspire you to stop, breathe, sit, stillness, silence. Take a deep breath. Notice, recognize, over and over and over and over again. Consistency, tedious consistency, back and forth, to the degree that you want to know how much pain are you in, how much are you willing to tolerate. And when you get to the point where I go to the point that enough is enough, all I had to do, and my mind did not like it, was to sit in stillness, in the silence, and breathe and notice. Your mind will never take you home because your mind doesn't know anything. It is just a little tool. It is a very precious tool, and it's there for many, many good reasons, which I'll tell you all about next week. But don't give it the job it's never intended to be. The mind is your tool. It is your paintbrush. It is your toaster. It is a mobile phone. It is just a tool. Stop asking it to be you and then feeling sorry that it can't do what you want it to do. It's not you. And that is the whole enchilada. Well, if that's not me, then who the hell am I? Ask your children. If they're younger than the age of 7, they got a good idea. They still... I'd like to share with you a document that I saw in a page of Dr. Joe Dispenza's book about the frequencies of children from the age when they're born all the way to 12. I think I'll share it in the group, in the Kusada Consulting group, so you can have a look at it just to give you an idea. Your children know. They're not aware of being aware, but they don't have the resistance, and they're eager to get into these experiences. They know. So if you're lucky enough to be sitting in a home with a young child under the age of 7, you can ask them questions. Ponder. Us adults have accumulated a lot of resistance. But so many people are waking up and they're assisting everyone left, right, and center. It is amazing. We live in an interesting times. I do. So, loved ones, I will love and leave you this time, and I shall see you tomorrow again at 2. Ciao.